When I was growing up, I always felt like I didn't matter compared to my sister. My parents thought she was a genius and said having one successful child was enough. They told me directly that I was a failure and said that if I wanted to stay at home, I'd have to pay $1,200 every month for rent. I couldn't afford that, so they kicked me out. At that terrible time, my uncle stepped in to help me, even though he didn't have much money. He told me, "Louisa, I may not have much, but I'd be proud to be your parent." Without thinking twice, I said yes. Now that I'm 35, I think back on my complicated family. When I was little, my dad worked in an office, and my mom stayed home. We lived together with my uncle, who never got married. When I was 8, I started living more with my uncle. He was 29 at the time and couldn't leave the family house because he was often sick and didn't have a steady job. He worked part-time when he could, but it was never enough for him to live on his own. He always felt bad about depending on his parents. I often saw my dad yell at him when my grandparents weren't around. It confused me, and I once asked my uncle why he never talked back. He just said that he knew he depended on their help and accepted it. When I got older, I realized my dad was also getting money from my grandparents, so his scolding was really unfair. If I had known that sooner, maybe I would have stood up for my uncle. When my grandparents were alive, our house felt peaceful. They protected my uncle and let him be himself. But when I was 8, my grandparents died in an accident. We were all heartbroken, and I still remember my uncle crying alone. But my dad did something shocking. He laughed. Seeing him laugh at such a sad time really scared me, and I've never forgotten it. Those early moments taught me a lot about family and people's true colors. At my grandparents' funeral, everyone was sad, but I secretly saw my dad smiling. It wasn't nervous laughter. It was the smile of someone happy to get their money. That image scared me so much that I cried even more. My uncle noticed and put his hand on my shoulder. He looked sad too, but his eyes were kind. It really showed me how different he and my dad were. After the funeral, my dad treated my uncle even worse. He said my uncle was worthless and should be thankful just to live in the house. The inheritance was supposed to be shared, but my dad wanted it all. My uncle never fought back. He just stayed quiet and got sicker and thinner every day. I asked him once if he was okay, but he only gave me a small smile and said, "It can't be helped." Seeing him like that made me both sad and angry. Not long after my grandparents died, my dad finally kicked my uncle out, yelling, "You're useless, get out." I still remember begging my uncle not to leave. He gently took my hand off his sleeve, put his hand on my shoulder, and told me, "Don't worry, Louisa, you're strong. You'll be fine, even without me." I told him, "But I'm worried about you." He just smiled and said, "It's okay," and then he left. I was just a kid. I couldn't do anything but cry as I watched him go. 5 years passed. I was 11 and going to elementary school. My little sister Kayla was about to start school too, but more trouble was waiting for me. One day my mom told us that Kayla's teacher said she was really smart. My dad was so proud that he said it must be because of his genes. He made Kayla take an IQ test to prove it. The results shocked everyone. Kayla's IQ was 150. My dad was over the moon. He bragged that she got her smarts from him. I didn't really understand what it meant, but I knew Kayla was special. I cheered for her. "That's amazing, Kayla," and she smiled at me happily. That moment made me happy too. But things changed fast. My dad said Kayla should take hard school entrance tests. My mom, surprised at first, went along with it. Kayla started tutoring every day, and my mom stopped doing housework because she was always with Kayla. All the house chores fell on me. My dad said, "Your mom and sister are busy, so you handle the house." So after school, I had to clean and do laundry. I couldn't play anymore. If I didn't finish, I got yelled at. Sometimes I even missed meals. "You're a failure. We don't have time for you," they'd say. "Why can't you be like your sister?" They never noticed when I did well at school or in sports. The more Kayla succeeded, the less they cared about me. Kayla got new clothes, tasty food, and nice trips. I got old clothes and leftovers and stayed home alone. "This child will take care of us when we're old," my dad said proudly about Kayla. He talked about her becoming a doctor, lawyer, or politician. I felt invisible. Then, when I was 15, they told me coldly, "One child is enough. We don't need a failure like you. Kayla needs money. If you can't pay us $1,200 every month, you can't stay here." I couldn't believe it. I begged them not to kick me out, but they didn't care. They handed me a little money and said, "Call your uncle. Figure it out yourself." Then they shut the door on me. I cried and knocked, but they wouldn't open the door. I finally gave up and took a train to find my uncle. I asked strangers for help and directions until I reached his small apartment. When I rang the doorbell, my uncle opened the door. He looked shocked to see me. I went inside and told him everything while crying. He looked so angry and said, "What are they thinking?" Even though he was mad at them, I felt like a burden and cried even harder. My uncle put his warm hand on my head and said softly, "You've had a hard time, but don't worry anymore." Then he told me honestly, "I'm not healthy and I don't have much money, but if you don't mind, I want to be your parent. I want to be your foster father. I might not be very strong, though." Before he could finish, I ran into his arms. His hug felt like a father's, but it was warm in a way my real father's never was. My uncle's hug felt completely different, warm and safe. "You don't have to worry about anything anymore," he said as I cried with relief. For the first time, I felt what real love from a parent should feel like. Living with my uncle wasn't easy. He was poor and often sick, but our home was full of smiles and laughter, things I hadn't felt at my parents' house. We didn't have much, but we had kindness and care. My uncle always praised me for trying, even if I failed. His love helped me forget the parents who never cared about me. Under his roof, I grew up healthy and happy. 20 years passed. Now I'm 35, and one day, after all those years, my parents came to see me. My father looked old and tired, but he smiled like nothing had happened. "Louisa, how have you been?" he asked, pretending everything was fine. I didn't smile back. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. "Let's forget the past. Let's be a family again," he said. I couldn't believe it. "A family? Are you serious?" I asked. When he saw I wasn't falling for it, he showed his true colors. "Still so rude. Some people never learn," he sneered. "That's enough. Go home," I said, blocking the door. Then my mother spoke up. "Louisa, stop being difficult. Let us in. You can't be happy living in this tiny apartment," she said. "This has nothing to do with you. Leave," I said. "Don't act so high and mighty. Let us in," she demanded. "No, go home," I repeated. We started pushing at the door like kids fighting. My parents tried to force their way in, but I held my ground until I had enough. I pushed them back hard. They fell on their backsides on the ground. I looked down at them and said, "You're so annoying." "What did you just say?" my dad shouted. "I'm busy, please leave," I said firmly. "How can you talk to your parents like this? Do you even see us as your parents?" they yelled. "I stopped seeing you as my parents the day you threw me out," I said sharply. "But we raised you until you were 15, they argued. "Yeah, and the only time I felt loved was when Grandma and Grandpa were alive," I shot back. "Just because I survived doesn't mean you get to act like parents now." They slowly got up, holding their backs. They looked so old and weak. "You always said Kayla was enough, so why are you here now?" I asked coldly. My dad sighed. "It's not that simple anymore." "What happened? Did Kayla leave you?" I asked, half joking. "She became a lawyer." "That's good, just what you wanted, right?" I said, sarcastic. "But then she disappeared. She left a note saying, 'I'm not taking care of you either,' and she left," my dad said angrily. "Wow, she ran away too. Good for her," I said. "Don't say that. We gave her everything," my mom said bitterly. "Yeah, but you gave her control, not love," I said. I knew Kayla must have felt trapped too. My dad changed the topic. "The company went bankrupt. We lost our jobs. Our money's almost gone." "That's tough," I said flatly. "So we want you to take care of us," my dad said bluntly. "No," I said immediately. "What? You're going to abandon us?" they shouted. "The only real parent I have is my uncle. He raised me when you wouldn't," I said. "You think of him as your father?" my dad asked. "He is my father. He worked hard for me even when he was sick. He gave me love, not just words," I said firmly. They were speechless. "I worked hard too. I wanted to give back to him," I added. My dad asked, "Wait, you actually have a job?" "Yeah, kind of," I said with a shrug. He grabbed my shoulder. "Let go," I said. "You're angry because you missed us. You want your parents back," he said, trying to twist my feelings. "Stop making things up. I don't need you," I said, laughing at how clueless they were. Why are you laughing? Are you happy to see us? My dad asked hopefully. Not at all. I never missed you. My uncle gave me a good life. I got a scholarship, graduated college, and got a good job, I said. Oh, you have a good job, so you must be earning well, my mom said, her eyes lighting up. Yeah, and I got married too, I said. Then we should meet your husband, my mom said quickly. No need, he's working overseas, I said. Your uncle too? My dad asked. Yep, he lives with us now. He's overseas with my husband and my kids, I said with a smile. You have kids too? They gasped. Yes, uncle lives with us. He didn't want to at first, but now he's happy with my kids, I said. Then we'll move overseas too, my dad said, hopeful. Go ahead, but I'm not helping you. Do what you want with your money, I said flatly. Are you really going to leave your parents like this? They shouted. You left me first, I said calmly. Their faces fell. I owe you nothing. I owe my uncle everything. I'll keep paying him back for all he did, I said. At least send us money, my mom begged. Uncle never used the money I sent him. He saved it for me. Now he's living with us abroad. I'm here just to finish the paperwork, I said. And us? My dad asked desperately. I nodded coldly. Thank you for abandoning me, I said with a smile. Because of you, I'm happy now. As I walked past them, I asked, how does it feel to be thrown away by the daughter you threw away first? They said nothing. I didn't wait for an answer. Back overseas, I live happily with my uncle, my husband, and my kids. Kayla joined us too. One day, while watching my kids play, Kayla said, I hope I find someone kind like you did, big sis. You will, you're free now, I told her. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I want to do what I really want, she said. That's good, I smiled. Back then, when our parents kicked me out, Kayla secretly wrote me letters saying she felt trapped too. My uncle and I kept in touch with her behind their backs. She stayed until she was old enough to run away. Now she's here with me. She's still learning the language, but I know she'll be fine. She's strong. My uncle's health is better too. He's even going to language school. Meanwhile, our parents spent all their money and begged other relatives for help, but nobody cares anymore. They're alone, just like they left me alone years ago. Looking at my sister, I said, parents should never play favorites. You're right, she said. No matter what, I'll always be here for you, Kayla, I promised. Thank you so much, big sis, she said, smiling gratefully. As we talked, my uncle came up behind me and put his warm hand on my shoulder. I turned, smiled at him, and said, thank you, Dad, I love you. Surrounded by my true family, my uncle, my sister, my husband, and my kids, I finally felt truly happy and at peace.